She looks like she raided a dumpster behind Goodwill, Veronica Hartley announced, pointing at me through the glass conference room wall. Either she goes, or I stop coming to these investor meetings. The woman walking briskly toward us wasn't from maintenance, it was Sarah from HR, carrying a folder that would flip the entire power dynamic of Hartley Technologies on its head. I sat at my desk, typing code in my usual attire, faded jeans with a hole in one knee, an ancient MIT hoodie that had seen better decades, and canvas sneakers held together by determination and duct tape. It was Friday afternoon at Hartley Technologies, and Veronica had decided to make her monthly appearance to criticize everything from the office decor to the staff dress code, particularly mine. Michael, she continued, addressing her husband and our CEO loud enough for the entire floor to hear, I'm serious. Look at her. We have clients coming in next week. What will they think when they see that, representing our company? Through the glass, I watched Michael Hartley shift uncomfortably. At 55, he built the company from a small software startup into a mid-sized firm worth about $40 million. He'd also, apparently, never learned to stand up to his trophy wife. I'll handle it, dear, he said, his voice carrying through the thin walls. Let me just, now, Michael. I want her gone today. It's bad enough you hire these programmer types who think hygiene is optional, but this one takes it to new extremes. Is she homeless? Does she live in her car? I glanced down at my outfit. Sure, it wasn't corporate standard, but I'd worn these same clothes through MIT, through my first startup, through the acquisition that nobody here knew about. They were comfortable. They were familiar. They were mine. She's our lead developer, Michael said weakly. Rebecca's been here since the beginning, I don't care if she's Steve Jobs reincarnated. She looks like a bag lady, and it reflects poorly on you. On us. On everything we've built. Veronica, please. Don't, Veronica, please, me. You promised when I agreed to help with the company image that you'd maintain certain standards. This. She gestured at me again, is not standard. It's embarrassing. Sarah from HR knocked on the conference room door, then entered without waiting for permission. Mr. Hartley, we need to discuss something urgently. Can it wait? Veronica snapped. We're in the middle of terminating an employee. Actually, that's what I need to discuss. Sarah glanced at me through the glass, then back at the Hartleys. There's been a development regarding the company ownership structure. What development? Michael frowned. I own 75% of the company. The rest is split among early investors. That was true until this morning, Sarah said carefully. There've been some acquisitions. What acquisitions? Veronica's voice went sharp. Michael, what is she talking about? Sarah opened her folder. Over the past 6 months, someone has been quietly buying shares from your early investors. As of 9 a.m. today, that entity now owns 60% of Hartley Technologies. The color drained from Michael's face. That's impossible. I have right of first refusal on any sales, which expired last year, Sarah reminded him. You chose not to renew it during the last board meeting. Because we were stable. Because I trusted, he stopped. Who? Who bought the shares? Sarah looked at me again. Perhaps Ms. Cross should join this conversation. The bag lady? Veronica scoffed. Why would? Because, Sarah said, she's your new majority shareholder. The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the fluorescent lights humming. Every developer on the floor had stopped pretending to work, openly staring at the conference room drama. That's ridiculous, Veronica said finally. Look at her. She can't afford decent clothes, much less company shares. Michael was doing the math in his head, I could see it. Rebecca? Is this true? I saved my code, pushed back from my desk, and walked to the conference room. Up close, Veronica's designer suit probably cost more than most people's rent. Her jewelry could have funded a startup. Her shoes, well, they were impractical, but definitely expensive. Morning, everyone, I said, settling into a chair. Interesting meeting? Don't be cute, Veronica snapped. Michael, this is obviously some kind of mistake. It's not a mistake, I said. Jensen was happy to sell his 15%. He wanted to invest in his son's company. Martinez needed liquidity for her divorce. Thompson just wanted out. One by one, I made them offers they couldn't refuse. With what money? Michael's voice was strangled. Your salary is $70,000 a year. I know. I set it that low myself when we started. Felt wrong to take more when we were struggling. Then how? Do you remember Technova? Michael blinked. The startup that got acquired by Microsoft 5 years ago? My startup. My acquisition. $42 million. Veronica laughed, the sound sharp and disbelieving. You expect us to believe that you sold a company to Microsoft for $40 million and then came to work here for $70,000? Dressed like that? I didn't need the money. I needed the challenge. Hartley Tech was failing when I joined. Bad architecture, worse management, zero innovation. It was perfect. Perfect? Michael looked lost. For fixing. I'm good at fixing broken things. Companies, code, systems. It's what I do. But why stay hidden? Why let me think that I was just another developer? Because that's when I do my best work. When people underestimate me. When they judge me by my appearance instead of my output. Sarah cleared her throat. There's more. Ms. Cross also owns several patents that Hartley Technologies currently licenses. The payment structure on those is extremely favorable to the company, I finished. Another gift. I believe in this place, Michael. In what it could be. What it was becoming before. I looked at Veronica. Image became more important than innovation. This is insane. Veronica stood, her heels clicking angrily on the floor. Michael, fire her anyway. You're still CEO, actually, Sarah interjected. As majority shareholder, Ms. Cross has the power to call a board meeting and replace leadership. I'm not firing Michael, I said calmly. He's a decent CEO when he's not being managed by his wife. How dare you? Veronica, you've visited this office exactly 12 times in 5 years. Each time, you've demanded we fire someone for their appearance. The receptionist with pink hair. The developer with facial piercings. The project manager who wore sneakers. Me, repeatedly. I was protecting our image. You were projecting your insecurities. This is a tech company, not a fashion show. Our clients care about clean code, not clean clothes. Michael found his voice. You could have told me. About the shares, about your background, would it have mattered? Would you have stood up to Veronica differently? Or would you have just tried to leverage my wealth instead of my skills? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. So what happens now? Veronica demanded. You fire us? Destroy everything Michael built? Everything Michael built? I pulled out my laptop, showing commit histories. 80% of our current codebase is mine. The architecture that allowed us to scale? Mine. The algorithm that made our product competitive? Mine. The client relationships that saved us during the downturn? Built on software I wrote at 3 a.m. while you were complaining about the office furniture. You're just a programmer. I'm an engineer. And now I'm your majority shareholder. Which means things are going to change. What kind of changes? Michael asked warily. First, no more image consultations from non-employees. Veronica, your services are no longer needed. You can't ban me from my husband's company. I can ban non-essential personnel who create hostile work environments. You've made multiple employees cry. You've caused 2 excellent developers to quit. You've made coming to work miserable for anyone who doesn't meet your aesthetic standards. Michael. Veronica turned to her husband. Do something. Michael looked between us, calculating. I could see him weighing his marriage against his company, his ego against his equity. She owns 60%, Veronica. I don't care if she owns 100%. I'm your wife. And I'm his boss now, I said quietly. Michael, you have a choice. Continue as CEO under new ownership, focusing on what you do best, strategy and client relationships, while I handle the technical direction. Or cash out your remaining 15% and walk away. 15? He went pale. I own 40%. You own 40%. But you've been diluted. Didn't read the fine print on those investor agreements, did you? Every time they sold, your percentage decreased proportionally. Sarah nodded, pulling out more documents. Current ownership structure, Rebecca Cross, 60%. Michael Hartley, 15%. Various minor investors, 25%. This is theft, Veronica hissed. This is business. Legal, ethical, documented business. Why? Michael asked quietly. Why not just start your own company? Why take mine? Because it wasn't yours anymore. It was ours. Every late night debugging, every weekend deployment, every crisis solved, I was here. You were at galas with Veronica, playing CEO while I played programmer. Well, game's over. So you'll destroy us out of spite? Destroy? I laughed. Michael, I just invested $30 million of my own money into this company. Why would I destroy it? 30 million? He grabbed the table for support. The share purchases. Plus, I'm about to inject another 10 million for expansion. We're going to build the development team, upgrade our infrastructure, and actually deliver on those promises you've been making to enterprise clients. But you dress like someone who cares more about comfort than conformity? Like someone who values function over form? Like every other successful tech founder who realized that genius doesn't require a dress code. I stood, pacing to the window. The view overlooked the parking lot where my 1998 Honda Civic sat between a line of BMWs and Teslas. You know what's funny? I could buy a new car every day for a year and not notice the expense. I could wear designer everything, live in a mansion, play the wealth game. But why? So people like Veronica would approve of me. I was trying to help, Veronica said weakly. You were trying to control. To make this place reflect your values instead of ours. Well, congratulations, you succeeded in making me reveal myself. Now you get to see what happens when the bag lady takes charge. What happens? Michael asked. First, we implement a results-only work environment. Come in wearing pajamas for all I care, as long as your code compiles and your projects ship. Second, we're hiring based on talent, not appearance. Third, we're promoting from within, starting with Amy Chen, who's been carrying your entire dev team while making half what she's worth. Amy's too junior. Amy has a PhD from Stanford and shipped 3 critical features while you were at that investor retreat in Cabo. She's getting your old salary, Michael. You'll be taking a cut. You can't. Check the bylaws. Majority shareholder sets compensation. You want to stay? You'll take $150K and be grateful. Want to leave? I'll buy you out at market rate. Market rate is about $3 million for your 15%. Enough to keep Veronica in designer shoes for a few years. Veronica grabbed her purse, rage making her movements sharp. This isn't over. I'll sue. Hostile takeover, workplace harassment. I pulled out my phone. Should we review the security footage? How many times you've commented on my appearance? Called me homeless? Suggested I might steal from the office kitchen? She went pale. You recorded. The building records everything. Amazing what you learn when you actually talk to the security staff instead of trying to get them fired for their tattoos. Michael, we're leaving. Michael didn't move. Actually, I think I'll stay. What? He looked at me, something like respect dawning in his eyes. You played the long game. Bought the shares, kept quiet, let me take credit while you built the foundation. That's impressive. That's business. No, that's patience. Strategy. Everything I pretended to have while you actually demonstrated it. He straightened. I'll take the pay cut. I'll report to you. Just, let me prove I can be more than Veronica's puppet. Michael. Veronica shrieked. Go home, Veronica. We'll talk tonight. Right now, I need to have a real conversation with my boss. She stormed out, heels clicking furiously. Through the glass, we watched her sweep past the developers, who weren't even pretending not to stare anymore. So, Michael said after she left, what's the real plan? The real plan? I pulled up a presentation I'd been refining for 2 years. We're going to pivot from small business solutions to enterprise integration. The architecture I've built can scale to handle Fortune 500 needs. We're going to hire the best engineers regardless of their fashion sense. We're going to build something that matters. And my role? You're good with people, Michael. When you're not trying to impress Veronica. So be good with people. Handle the relationships while I handle the technology. That's it? No revenge? No humiliation? Would it help? You let your wife bully your employees because you were afraid of conflict. Now you know what real power looks like. It doesn't announce itself with designer labels. Sarah, who'd been quietly documenting everything, spoke up. Should I inform the staff about the ownership change? Monday morning all-hands meeting. For now, let them process the show. I glanced at the developers, some of whom were openly grinning. And Sarah? Draft a new dress code policy. Certainly. Business formal? Business casual? Come as you are. Results, not runway. I looked at Michael. Any objections? 60% says no objections. He managed a small smile. You know, I always wondered why someone with your skills stayed for that salary. Now you know. I wasn't here for the money. I was here for the company. My company now. Our company, he corrected. I still own 15%. Fair enough. Our company. Run my way. Which is? Innovation over image. Talent over tailoring. Results over respectability. I picked up my ancient backpack, the one Veronica had particularly despised. I'm going home early. Need to call my investment team about that expansion funding. In that outfit? No, I'll probably change into something even more comfortable. Maybe the sweatpants with the paint stains. Really lean into the bag lady aesthetic. He actually laughed. You know what? I think I've been an idiot. Just married to one. There's hope for recovery. As I left the conference room, the entire floor burst into applause. Amy Chen was crying. The kid from support who Veronica had tried to fire for his gauged ears gave me a thumbs up. Even the receptionist with the pink hair, rehired after I'd quietly intervened, was grinning. Hey, Rebecca, someone called out. Or should we call you boss now? Rebecca's fine. Boss is just a title. We've got work to do. In our homeless chic attire? In whatever makes you comfortable enough to create brilliance. I headed for the exit, past the motivational posters Veronica had insisted on, past the aesthetic improvements that had cost more than 3 developer salaries. Tomorrow, I'd start the real changes. But today? Today I'd made my point. Money whispers. Power observes. And sometimes, the person you dismiss for their appearance is the one signing your paychecks. As I passed the reception desk, I heard Amy on the phone. No, Mrs. Hartley, you can't have him banned from the building. He owns 15%. Also, he's the CEO. Also, and I enjoy saying this, you're not welcome here anymore. I smiled. Maybe I wouldn't wait until Monday to start the changes. Outside, my Honda waited faithfully, rust spots and all. I could buy a Tesla. Hell, I could buy the Tesla company. But this car had driven me to my first day at MIT, to my first startup, to the Microsoft acquisition, to Hartley Technologies when it was struggling. It was comfortable. It was familiar. It was mine. Just like the company I'd bought while dressed like a hobo.